So, today we're diving into something truly incredible, one of the biggest revolutions in neuroscience. We're talking about the discovery that your brain isn't some fixed, static thing. Nope. It's actually a dynamic, ever-changing masterpiece. And the best part? We're going to find out how you can become the architect of your own mind.
You've heard this a million times, right? It's this piece of folk wisdom that basically says, at some point, we're just done. Our abilities are set in stone. And for a really long time, this wasn't just a saying. It was pretty much how we understood the human brain.
And look, this wasn't just some casual belief. For centuries, the dominant scientific view was that the brain was like a machine, with fixed wiring. The thinking was that once it developed in childhood, that was pretty much it. It was a non-renewable organ and it was done changing. Well, it turns out that whole foundational idea couldn't have been more wrong. The last few decades of research have completely flipped this old way of thinking on its head, revealing something far more extraordinary about that 3-pound chunk of tissue between our ears. And this brings us to the star of the show, the revolutionary discovery of neuroplasticity. Seriously, this one concept has changed everything we thought we knew about learning, about healing, and even about human potential itself.
So what is it exactly? Well, to put it simply, neuroplasticity is the brain's incredible ability to reorganize its own structure and function. Every experience you have, every new skill you learn, heck, even every single thought physically changes the connections inside your head.
The best way to think about this is to completely ditch that old idea of the brain as a computer. It's not a piece of hardware running some fixed software. Oh no. It's much more like a living, malleable sculpture, one that's constantly being shaped and reshaped by your life.
Okay, so how does this actually happen? Well, it really boils down to two main things. First, you've got synaptic plasticity. This is where the connections between your brain cells get stronger or weaker, kind of like well-trodden paths in a forest. The more you use a path, the clearer it gets. And second, there's structural plasticity, which is even cooler. This is where your brain can physically grow new connections, and in some areas, even new neurons. It's like a full-on physical renovation.
Now, this idea didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It was a long journey. It started way back as a controversial theory in the late 1800s. Then it got a huge boost from Donald Hebb's famous idea that neurons that fire together wire together. Eventually, we got hard anatomical proof, and finally, landmark studies like the amazing one on London taxi drivers brought neuroplasticity right into the mainstream.
Okay, so if our brain really is a sculpture, that raises a pretty big question, doesn't it? How do we become the sculptor? Let's take a look at the actual tools we can use to intentionally guide this whole process. Yeah, what are the chisels and hammers? What can we actually use to start shaping our own neural architecture? Well, the science points to a few really powerful instruments that, believe it or not, we all have.
The first, and maybe the most important tool of all, is your mindset. Groundbreaking research from Stanford University shows this huge difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Why is this so powerful? Because when you truly believe your abilities can be developed, you actually prime your brain for change. When you lean into a challenge, your brain releases dopamine, which acts like a save button for new neural connections. It literally reinforces the very pathways that help you grow.
All right, so beyond just believing you can change, your actions are what really do the heavy lifting. That focused, effortful practice when you're learning something new, that doesn't just feel hard. That's the feeling of your brain insulating new pathways to make them faster. Intentional repetition strengthens those connections, turning what was a faint trail into a neural superhighway. And it's not just about mental work. Physical exercise boosts crucial growth factors in the brain, and quality sleep, that's when your brain gets to work consolidating all that learning and getting ready for the next day's sculpting.
Now, this all sounds great in theory, right? But the really cool part is seeing it in action. Let's look at some absolutely mind-blowing, real-world examples of the brain's astonishing ability to reorganize itself.
So take the famous London taxi driver study. To get a license there, cabbies have to memorize this insane labyrinth of 25,000 streets. When researchers scanned their brains, they found something remarkable. The part of their brain crucial for spatial memory, the posterior hippocampus, was significantly larger than in the average person. Their brains had physically grown to meet the demands of their job.
It's not just about learning new things either. This is also about the brain's incredible power to heal. There's this amazing therapy for stroke patients where their good arm is restrained, forcing them to use their affected arm. This intense, focused effort literally compels the brain to create new neural pathways, essentially building detours around the damaged area to get that limb working again.
It's incredible.
But maybe one of the most jaw-dropping examples of all is human echolocation. Some blind individuals have learned to navigate the world by making clicking sounds and interpreting the echoes. And when scientists put them in a brain scanner, they found that they process these sound echoes in their visual cortex, the part of the brain that's normally used for sight. Their brain literally rewired a major hub to take on a completely new sense.
So, after all that, what's the big takeaway? What does this all mean for you and me? It's that we are not just passive passengers in our own minds. The crucial point here is that we are the artists. We are the sculptors of our own brains.
You know, there's a quote that just captures this whole idea perfectly. The discovery of neuroplasticity isn't just some neat scientific fact. It's a philosophical revolution. It means your mind has this incredible innate capacity for change.
So here's the bottom line. Every single day, with every thought you entertain, every habit you stick with, and every action you take, you are actively participating in the creation of your own mind. Your habits are literally carving the pathways that will shape who you become tomorrow. And that leaves us with one last, really powerful question to think about. Knowing that you hold the tools in your hands, that you are the one shaping this incredible living sculpture, what will you choose to create?